Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, I want to note the relative consensus in the testimony for today. Several of our panelists have highlighted, along with Congressman DeFazio, the need to stabilize the Highway Trust Fund, but also to seek additional revenue sources to fund needed infrastructure investment. I was glad to hear my colleague from Illinois call for diversification. I have proposed a dedicated funding stream for freight transportation so that projects can address bottlenecks and deficiencies in our goods movement network and that they can be financed by users of the freight infrastructure, so it's a user fee. My plan has bipartisan support and would raise approximately $8 billion a year for these investments. There may be other solutions. I'm glad to hear us talking about diversification. But there is a consensus that the status quo is simply inadequate to meet the challenges as we go forward in our infrastructure in the future. So, Mr. McKenna, I have a question for you first. Missouri's State Freight Plan notes that truck volume is projected to increase by over 50% between 2011 and 2030. Across the country, cargo volumes are up to record highs, and addressing this strain on our freight network is a key challenge in the years forward. I represent the port area in Long Beach, and adjacent to LA. We've had the highest amount of growth, LA, in years. Long Beach recently had the highest one-month total. The question I have to you is, do you feel like states like yours, our key freight corridors, will have the resources they need to meet the increased volume without a dedicated freight infrastructure funding from the federal government?
Thank you for the question. I do not believe we have the resources required to meet that need. I don't believe we have the resources required at present to meet the current need. So we welcome the focus on freight. It is a critical aspect of our economy in the state, and we are focused on that element. We'll be bringing a infra grant forward as part of the discretionary program in the coming couple weeks, and we're focused on freight.
Thank you. Next question is for the entire panel. The FAST Act in 2015 created a new program to direct federal investment to critical freight infrastructure needs. However, the administration recently announced changes to that would reduce this program's emphasis on the most worthy projects and instead advantage projects with a low federal cost share. How does this new emphasis affect our ability to invest in critically needed freight infrastructure improvements now that we're just going to go to those that have the lowest federal cost? I'd like anybody to tell how we're going to deal with this issue. Mr. McCarty.
Yes, thank you. You know, as you start prioritizing things, what we have done in Missouri, and I'm sure it's done in other places, is we've had, as the director mentioned, we have these MPOs and these regional organizations that try to prioritize what their needs are. We don't have the luxury of trying to even analyze how much money we're getting back or what the match is. We're looking at where the needs really are. And really, the needs are really all over the place. From a manufacturer's standpoint, we want to make sure the entire system is connected, and I think that's important. So you have to look at connectivity as well.
But the question, and I agree with you completely about connectivity, and I believe a multimodal approach that really deals with connectivity is critically needed, so I concur with you. But I want to ask you about the administration's approach to now prioritize freight infrastructure by looking at those that advantage programs that have a low federal cost share versus what was done in the FAST Act to look at the most worthy projects. That's quite a bit of difference. Anybody have any thoughts about what the administration has recently done? So it doesn't make any difference to you that we're going to just target those projects that have the smallest amount of federal cost sharing. Mr. McKenna?
I think what we're looking at is that they overlap. Those that are most significant to the state, most significant to the region, will also draw additional support from local share. We have a cost share program in our state, and that is playing out. So we're acting on a discretionary basis to look for those things that align both, that we can bring local resources to bear where we can, and try to up our share.
Obviously, since the federal government is reducing its responsibility and has been, you have to look at other local sources. But do you agree that we should be looking at you said that you've kind of trying to do a balance between those that are both locally funded, larger cost share, and also those that are the most worthy projects. But I don't think that's where the administration has gone. They have not really talked about the most worthy projects. Okay, I yield back. Thank you.